Hey everyone, this is Ash for iPoker VIP Coaching and welcome to Fastlane to Omaha part number 2. This time we will put the theory into practice and I will show you how to apply the concepts properly that we talked about in part number 1. I recorded a session on PLO 50 and mostly we'll focus on a very solid preflop strategy, talk about equities post-flop. We will try to have easy spots, and for the beginning we will try to stay in control of the hand, don't have hard decisions at all. Before we start, I'm playing at Stan James Poker. It's part of the microgaming network. I already recommended the site to you guys in part number 1. I think it's a very good website for beginners to start out. PLO games run kind of low. And I think starting at PLO 4, even PLO 2, there's a lot of traffic for you guys, and the regular to fish ratio is just very, very good. Make sure to check out iPoker VIP to get a good deal for the site. You get a very good first deposit bonus, and they have instantly 30% rake back and a very good rake raise. So make sure to check out iPoker VIP for the Stan James deal. Okay, let's talk a bit about the HUD. I'm using the basic holding manager stats. As you can see, the first numbers, the VPIP and the preflop raise. So really everything that you know from your HUD. And I also have a coloring system. As you can see, with green I mark always fish. This guy plays 45-24, so kind of loose. So green people are fish, and here orange people are regulars who play quite a lot, but who have some leaks or maybe just grind for the rake back, so they're kind of exploited already. Okay, I think we can get started. No, one more thing. Another good reason to play at microgaming, if you're just starting out, is this little bad boy here in the corner. It basically tells you your actual hand, what you're holding right now. So if you feel a bit unsure, then you should just check the box and it will tell you your hand strength. Okay, so let's start out with our first session at PLO 50. I hope we will have a lot of action, and I will try to guide you through the action. Okay, table number 2, we have ace-jack 8-5 single suited to the jack. The pot is already raised, so the hand is not strong enough to continue. On table number 1, a fish open limps from the cutoff. Our hand is very strong, ace-jack-jack, double suited, strong enough to isolate and raise here. My default isolation size is always pot. The pot is actually very good and we get donked into, which is kind of weird. We don't really want to raise now, but we have some backdoor draws where we can continue, and this is what we do. Turn brings a queen. We don't really improve. He can still have ace-8, ace-4, deuce-3, 5, 6, 7 type of hands, so either draw or mate hands, but I will bet here and fold to raise, but unfortunately just calls, leaving us in the dark. Once the river comes a 4, I don't think that we can value bet against any hand. Still we lose to ace-8. I think if he has a full house like ace-4, he would lead it out, or he should lead it out. So we beat all the wraps basically, but we lose to ace-8 type of hands. Yeah, he has ace-8, no value bet for us. So table number 2, we have kings out of position. Abul Fadl already raised. I played a lot of hands with him. The kings are kind of bad, so in the beginning I just want to see how the table plays out. I won't get into any tricky spots. and just fold my kings. Table number 1, we open a low wrap, which is kinda good. Get raised by farm or Elsa out of position. We have a connected hand. We perform very good against aces or any other high rundowns, and we just see a flop. Flop is very dry now, king 9-5, no real draws possible. He bets fairly large for this dry board, and I hope I fold it here. I don't really want to peel off and try to hit trips or 2 pairs, so I just give it up. Yeah, we would have made 2 pair, but I might not be good. Table number 1, we have a pair of queens, but no suit at all under the gun. Should be an easy fold for us. Table number 2, we are semi-connected. 9-8-6 plays fairly good. It's double suited. The 2 dangles a bit, but we can buy the position by just raising here, and I just open raise it. My open raising size is just 3 times the big blinds. So yeah, and we take it down. That's very good. Table number 2 again. King 10-6 deuce. 3 diamonds in our hands are kind of bad to make a flush, so no reason to get involved into the hand. Table number 1, we don't get a walk, but it gets limped. No reason to raise. Wanna control the pot. And I just make a quick note on what happened before, and mark him instantly as fish, since he seems to be playing a lot of hands. Once he leads on this flop, we don't have a real draw, we just have middle pair. We have a gut shot. The 6 would give us a straight, but I don't really want to call and bluff a diamond if it comes, so just easy fold for us. Okay, just make a quick note on what happened before he leads top 2 on the ace 8-4. Check calls the queen and checks again a 4 on the river. I timed out on table number 1, I'm sorry for that. So you have to get used to play and talk at the same time, seems like. Okay, so if everyone would have limped to us, I would have emptied the pot also, but everyone folded, so we can just easily raise our ace 10-10. Table number 2, king queen 10, 6. The 6 dangles a bit, but it's suited to the king. It's semi-connected. The gap is on the bottom, which is very good. Table number 1, pair of 10s, 5-4 suited. I just folded under the gun. You blow me 4. Nice name, by the way. Open raise from the cutoff. He seems to be very loose, and I would just call and see a flop in position, and maybe can entice the big blind or small blind to come along. Table number 1 should be an easy fold. Yeah, since once he checks to us, we should just bet it out, see how he reacts to it. The jack is kind of good for us since it will give us a lot of backdoor draws. So we didn't connect it in anyway with the flop, so once we get raised, we should have an easy decision to let go of our hand. The only thing which is good is really the jack, which fills up our gap at the king queen 10, but it's just hoping for backdoor draws, so it should be an easy fold. But I want to note this down, that he decides to check raise jack deuce 5 board instead of continuation betting. Table number 1, we have 3 8s in our hands. It's harder to flop a set. Please note that you don't have trips yet, because you always need to use 2 cards of your hand, so it should be an easy fold. Same on table number 2. We have a dangler at the top. You blow for me, or you blow me 4. opens the pot again, but our hand is just not strong enough to continue. But he seems to be fairly loose, so I will try to isolate him later on. On table number 1, again, a connected hand, 4, 5, 8, 9, single suited to the 8. We have a flush draw, we can make a couple of straights, and definitely good enough to play from the button. And the flop comes king 9, 8. We flop 2 pair. And we should just bet it out normally if we don't get led into. Yeah, kings on table number 1. The kings are kind of strong, basically. So we should just open it up. On table number 1, once we get donked into, we don't really know what we want to draw to. It's a bit tricky. There's TVHDK still behind. He could have flushed. They could have already king 9, a set of kings. We could be behind in so many ways, and that should be an easy fold for us. Table number 2, unfortunately we get raised with our kings. Sastaps is a very, very tight player. He just plays 18-8, doesn't 3-bet too much. His range is very aces heavy in this case, so for now we'll give him some credit and just fold my kings out of position because they just play very, very bad. But once he starts to abuse it, we will 4-bet him lighter, or definitely at least call him lighter, even out of position. Table number 1, Queen Jack 10-8. A very good hand. It's very high cards. And we just try to steal from the cutoff. Once it comes king 5-4-4. It's a very dry board. A full house already out, so no need to bet a lot. Just bet half of the pot here all the time. Should be enough to take it down. And he does, and it's a very good result for us. Table number 2, ace, queen 7-5, out of position. It's a very bad hand. He just 3-bet us. Probably feels good now about himself, so no need to get involved right now. Same on table number 1, ace, jack, 6 deuce. Just single suited to the jack, easy fold. Table number 2, the hand is very good connected actually, but we have, or not good connected, just looks very good. We have a lot of gaps. We have a suit, like a suited connector, but it just doesn't play so well. On table number 2, Crazy Al or Crazy Ali just posted. We have a ace queen 10 single suited to the ace, so it should be good enough to isolate. He just posted and couldn't wait for the big blind. He's already marked green, so he's definitely a fish, most likely. The 6 dangles a bit, but it's fine for us. I think I remember this hand now. Yeah, I remember the hand now. Flop comes ace king 5. We flop a top pair in the gut shot. I think I will continuation bet this, but the better play probably against 2 people is just to check it behind, because hands that continue are 2 pair like ace king or ace 5 or ace king queen jack, which have also random gut shots. So I think a check behind this case is better. Right now, by reviewing this video, I don't like my play. So the check raise is just very, very small. So I think he just wants to lure us into the pot. I don't have any reads on him. He plays 5-5 very tight, but I just have 20 hands, so not a big sample size yet. But still, since we have a gut shot to go with our hand, I think checking behind against 2 people is better. Trying to hit the jack, or at least some 2 pair that we don't bet ourselves off from our hand, and just to realize our own equity. So checking behind, I think, is here way better, especially with outreads. Okay, so we get check raised very, very small, but still no reason to get involved. We're really just drawing to our 4 outs to the jack, and this should be then an easy fold after we get check raised. Okay, so again we have bad kings. In the beginning you should just really try to avoid playing marginal hands. We have bad kings, it's suited to the 6, and we can make some strays, but we really don't want to get into trouble. The same on table number 1, where we have our hand looks very connected, but it's not suited to the ace, and TVHDK proves to be very, very loose, and if he would be tighter, I would open raise it, but in this case, we try to not get involved. Make just a quick note on Jacopo 55 that he check raises a dry ace king 5 board. Don't really know what he has, but just for next time once he does it, just want to be aware. Table number 2, king queen 5-4, the typical 2 hold'em suited connectors. They look very, very good and are tempting to play, but under the gun in PLO, like I already mentioned, you should watch out that you play at least 3 connected cards, or better 4. So don't get tempted by these eye candy hands. They're just very, very dangerous, especially out of position. In position on the button, they're definitely playable, but under the gun for now, we want to see how the table reacts and make some tighter folds in the beginning. King 10-9-8. Again, we have a very big gap at the top with the king. If the king would be a queen or a jack, I would definitely play it, maybe even consider raising it. In this circumstance, probably not. It's already isolated, someone cold card on the button, so try to not get involved. So it's 4-way to the flop. The pot is it comes ace 5-6. We wouldn't have connected. Just have a backdoor draw. So no action for now. Let's talk a bit about the table. They seem kind of tight. We have 2 fish on table number 1 to our left, and on table number 2 it's a bit the opposite. I'm used to looser tables normally, but maybe some fish will come. There's still a seat open. Table number 1 should be an easy raise from the button, open raise, king, queen, jack, very good connected, it's single suited, and to the king also. Okay, drawn, opens under the gun, he has normally a very tight range. He's a regular, so I decided to call here since I have a bit of a deceptive hand. I can make some lower straights, and I want TVHDK and Victory to come along. Unfortunately, we didn't connect. Table number 2, we have a gut shot. So on table number 1, we didn't really flop anything. Our plan worked that the 2 fish come along though, but we didn't connect it yet. Table number 2, we have the nut flush draw blocker. I will just try to take it down. No one showed interest. But once Jacopo calls, I think he has a small flush here. No reason to try to bluff it again. On table number 1, we pick up a backdoor draw, which is very, very good for us. It's the backdoor draw is to the nuts. No one showed interest to take it down. And now full houses, straights, flushes out. We can think about making here a very thin value bet. I'm not sure if I made it now. But okay, it seems I didn't go for the thin value bet because I didn't know what can call me. If a low flush, I don't know the people, but I would recommend a very small value bet, maybe to bet $2 into 7. Now we have the deuce 4 6. We have a very small pair. We have 3 spades in our hands. All this is very bad. It's a bit connected, but it's still not worth to play it from middle position. It's the same almost from on table number 2. Again, we have a pair of deuces. Like I mentioned, we don't want to play low pairs, hit the set and get too excited. The flush draw is also just to the 5, and it's even less connected than the hand on table number 1. Okay, table number 1, pair of queens. Pair of queens are actually kind of good to play, but our other cards are just not good enough to continue from under the gun, so it should be an easy muck. The same on table number 2. Once Abul Fadl, a regular, opens from under the gun, our hands doesn't really have nut potential. It can flop some straights though, but no reason to get involved in the hand. On table number 2, I have 2 regulars that I know very good. I got Speed Fever and Abul Fadl, so we watched them a bit. I myself play a bit tighter than I'm used to, but I'm just observing the tables for now. I want to adapt as good as possible so we can make better decisions later on. On our direct right on table number 2 is Crazy Ali. He seems to be a fish. He plays 60% of his hands but don't opens any. And you will find a lot of them at PLO. Ace 9 7 3 in the big blind. Now that Farmer Elsa also enters the pot, I'm thinking about defending it. I think it's worth defending it. TVHDK is a fish. And Pow Bitch Pow. Yeah, Pow Bitch Pow also enters now, so we can get kind of good odds and we can play our hand kind of easy. Now we flop kind of good, but we still lose against a lot of aces which higher kickers. Now we have trips and we just bet it out half the pot and just hope to take it down most of the time. If we're already behind against ace ace 5, then we still can make a higher full house with our 9 and the 7, and luckily we just take it down without any troubles. I think if we get raised, we just should try to see a turn, hit our outs, and give up to further action. Okay, table number 2, we raised with our pair of kings. It's single suited to the king. Sastaps gets along, but I got Speed Fever. He min raises, which is kind of weird. I don't really know what it means. So no reason to 3-bet him. And we just call and see a flop. I don't really know what his min raise means. I haven't seen him doing that. Maybe it was just a misclick and he wanted to call or try to get somehow control of the hand. Normally it's ace x suited type of hands, which wants just to bloat the pot. Table number 1, Victory, the fish limp. We were in the small blind. I completed it since I wanted to see a flop with our suited ace for cheap against the 2 fish. Now that we picked up the backdoor nut flush draw, we just tried to take it down with a bet and luckily default. Table number 2, I got Speed Fever, just bets 2 into almost 10.5 euro. I don't really know what it means, really. I'm lost, but we don't have a strong hand ourselves. Sastaps is still behind us. Straights are out. A lot of 2-pair combinations are out. And flushes, of course. If he just wanted to blow the pot pre-flop with his single suited ace, then it also connects very good with him. And no reason for us to get involved. Now, I hope that we can just see their cards, because now the ace peels off. I put I got Speed Fever. I thought his range is very ace small, suited heavy, but and we don't see the cards. Uh, Jack 8 ace deuce on the table number 1. I would consider raising it if TV HDK wouldn't be on my direct left. He really wants to see a lot of flops, so I just fold it. Table number 1, we are in position, crazy alley min raises. No reason to fold here, we have position, that's very, very important. The board is just very, very dry, ace-9 deuce, not many hands possible, not many strong hands. And once he continuation bets half the pot, we will raise him here. It's very hard for him to have a hand here and even a draw, so we can raise him easily off his hand. And he folds very, very quickly. So here's the flop again, ace-9 deuce. Not so many draws possible. The mate hands which are possible are just not a very big part of his range. And it's just a very good spot to raise the continuation bet and try to take it down immediately, regardless of our hands, just playing position and the board in this case. King 10-10-4, the hand is kind of bad. It's already raised. And if you would have a nut flush, probably I would consider entering it. The same on table number 1, queen 10-7 deuce. Just single suited to the king, not really connected. The deuce makes our hand very, very, very bad. And under the gun, just easy fold. Okay, so on table number 2, we get dealt again a kind of bad hand. Jack 3, deuce 6, 3 hearts in our hands. But I want to try to play more buttons. Crazy Al seems to be limping a lot, so I just want to get involved with him in a lot of pots. So I just decided to isolate here. So I just want to know now if he's a fit to fold type of player, then I can abuse my position on him. Once the flop comes ace king 7, very easy continuation bet for us, and we take it down. Table number 1, kind of similar situation like before. TV HDK, a fish opens, Vic Victory decides to get along, and we just want to see a flop against 2 fishes, even though we're out of position. Because our hand has a lot of potential, we can make a lot of straights. And the flush, once it comes 7-7-3, a very easy lead for us. We shouldn't go for the check raise, we should just lead out our strong hands. King, king, jack, deuce. We folded this hand before, but Sastaps and Jacopopo seem to be very tight players, so I will try to steal more or enter more hands out of position. On table number 1, I wouldn't recommend it because TBHTK are very, very loose and Vic Victory, although they wouldn't give us a problem. But king, king, jack, deuce, I just like to raise it here because table number 2 just plays very, very tight right now. And we try to exploit this by entering more pots. And we have at least a pair of kings. Table number 1, king 9-8 deuce, no suit at all, not connected, no nut potential, no good playability, no good flop ability, so should be an easy fold. Table number 2, I will just continuation bet it. We have an overpair of kings and a gut shot, and Jacopo insta gives up. So they still give me a lot of respect, it seems like. Image seems to be good. I still remember the hand where Jacopo just check min raised or close to min raised me. So we'll be more cautious if he keeps calling me in position. But this was a very standard continuation bet, I guess. Jack 9-9-8, pow bitch pow. I like the name, I like the song, just kind of fucking good. We have kind of weak players behind, like you already know, TV HDK, so we just want to cold call here. Try to flop a set, a straight, and try to get them along. TVHDK decides to squeeze. Power bitch power will call, and we also call, and the game plan is still the same. We try to flop a set or something strong. The ace, we didn't want to see the ace. We wanted to see a flush draw where we can stack off, but once the ace peels off and we just have the flush draw, it hits TVHDK's range kinda strong. If he has here and he pots it even, which is a very strong sign, so it should be an easy fold for us. Table number 2, Crazy Ali attacks our big blind again. We already outplayed him once. And we just try to defend here again. I think we can make better decisions than him post-flop. I didn't want it to get check raised now. On table number 2, so I decided to check it behind. Once I hit the king and he donks into me, I will peel off once just to see if he bets again. I would probably bluff a club draw. Top pair, we have now some showdown value, no reason to bluff now, or still not to bluff. But he was ahead all the time, he had a beautiful hand basically. So the interesting part here is he was just checking the Jack-Jack 3 board. He didn't decide to continuation bet with no equity at all. Once he hit the king, he just bets half the pot and checks the turn, checks the river again once he improves even more. But I think he's not really thinking about his hands and just clicking buttons randomly, seems like. King Jack 4-4. If my pair would be a bit higher, I might consider to play it, and if I would have a ace high nut flush draw, because then we could enter a pot again with TVHDK. As I said, we want to enter a lot of pots with fish in the hand because they just stack off randomly with a lot of dominated hands, and the more we enter the pots against fish, the better of course for us. Our aces, they're kind of bad. We don't have a suit, they're not connected, and we are out of position. I think I won't 3-bet our ace here because we just can't get in a significant portion of our stack. Vic Victory will call everything, and we just have to play one pair hand out of position all the time. But still, we won't fold our hand, and we just want to call here in. Table number 2, I was thinking about isolating him again, but the pair is just very low. If I wouldn't have a pair, I would definitely isolate here, but the pair just makes our hand weaker, way weaker. Table number 1, the flop actually is kind of bad, but both again don't seem to be very interested. I took it down already with some turn bets, some previous pots. The 5 is a good good card for us since we beat now a lot of 2 per hands, like 10-8, or not a lot, it's only 2 per hand, sorry. Once we hit the nuts, we just bet very polarized. We bet the size of the pot and hope that someone picked up anything, any piece, but they don't. Table number 2, a suited ace, very connected. It's a very, very good hand. It's a very good 3-betting hand also, but once Crazy Ali limps, we have to isolate him here because this will be our game plan now. He will limp a lot and we try to isolate him a lot. King King Deuce Deuce, if Pow Bitch Pow would have raised, I would have 3-betted him. Calling is also definitely an option, but now we just open up the button. We flop the nut flush draw plus a pair. Very pretty flop for us, and we'll just try to continuation bet here. Once Crazy Ali donks, yeah, once he donks, I would just try to call it and hope that the others come along, maybe with some king jack, jack nine, feel like they're priced in, or if they have flush draw, they will peel one off in position probably anyways. The king, queen, we really didn't connect it anyhow to the flop. It hits his calling range very, very good, and we don't even have backdoor draws that we can bet confidently. So I decided to check it back and give up instantly against TVHDK. Once Crazy Ali bets again, half the pot bet seems to be very tempting for a nut flush draw, but the card is just very bad. If he had something strong like a pair of queens or a pair of tens or even a pair of deuces, he has us already dominated and no reason to continue. Like I said, always try to draw to the nuts and always make sure to count your nut outs when you want to continue with your hand. Table number 1, same scenario. I wanted that TVHDK or Vic Victory comes along. We have a nut flush draw. But TVHDK squeezes now again. If drone would have called in, I would have called also. So now we should start adapting that he doesn't abuse my cold calls by 3-betting or squeezing all the time in position. So we try to play a bit more aggressive or pick hands where we can back raise him. 9-6-3-5, kind of bad hand out of position, especially against the regular. Doesn't have any potential, so should be an easy muck. King 7-5-3, single suited to the king. Still, I would just like to play my hand basically to enter a pot against Crazy Ali, but we are just out of position. Our hand just doesn't play well, so we should just throw it into the muck and go on with our next hands. I know it's very tempting to play once Crazy Ali enters the pot, but still we don't have position and our hand doesn't flop very, very well. So yeah, you already know that I'm always trying to look out at my hand can flop a lot of nuts, so we will really focus on a very solid preflop strategy that we don't get into too much trouble on later streets where it's important. Ace 10, A3, the 3 dangles a bit, but we are single suited to the ace. TVHDK is the only fish now. If I would have 2 fish to my left, I would probably open it. But like now, I have to wait a bit again. Suited ace and low pair, double suited hand on table number 2, good enough to open. If Crazy Ali would have limped, good enough to isolate definitely. TVHDK's under the gun raising range is kinda large. I decided to defend here. It's a kinda loose defend, but we are a bit deeper, try to outflop him, try to outplay him somehow. King 9-9, 4 double suited. Again, our pair is kinda high though, but we want to play higher pairs, and against Abu Fadl, he will have a very strong range under the gun. Table number 1, we just really flop our backdoor draw. The 7 would have been a very good card for us. I mean, it's just an open-end straight draw, but still some equity. But on this flop, no reason to continue. Jack 5, deuce 3. It's double suited hand. I will try to steal here and see how he reacts. I can't recommend limping. I can recommend min raising and calling 3-bets easier if he decides to get wild here. But I just like raising the pot from the small blind and continuation bet this lockdown board. Queen 10-8, Jack 9 is already possible. TVHDK would just proceed if he really caught a big piece of the flop, if he has the straight or at least a set. Far more Elsa raises. My friend Pow Bitch Pow leads to the B calls, but our hand is just not strong enough to play on the button. If we have some suited ace, then it would be very good to continue. Crazy alley limps, of course, we want to keep up our game plan, isolating a lot, especially with aces. If we get re-raised, I hope like Jacopo recognizes it in re-raise and sees that I just isolate loose so we can repop him, but he just decides to call again. So he's not raising so much, he's just calling a lot of hands. The flop is kind of bad. Queen Jack 3. We have a backdoor hearts draw, but I will still continuation bet and just see how they react. We're just happy to take it down in this case. Power bitch power opens. We have a very connected double suited hand. It's very deceptive. I don't want to play it heads up this. I don't want to play it multi-hand this time. I don't want that TVHDK comes along because we just don't have any nut draws. So this is definitely a pushing hand for me, another pulling hand. So I decide to 3-bet him here. We can still hit a lot of good flops. He will put us on aces a lot, and we can just continuation bet a lot of flops. If power bitch power 4-bets us, it will be also a very easy call, and we'll just stack off. We hit any piece of the flop. So now our perceived range is aces or some stronger big pair high cards. I will just continuation bet here a bit more than half the pot since it's a 3-bet pot. It hits his range though a bit better than mine, I have to say. But still, I just want to continuation bet it and try to take it down immediately and not wait for any miracle cards. Once we get check raise, it's an easy fold for us. Table number 2, we get a free play, but unfortunately don't flop anything. Not even backdoors. I mean, we have a pair of 10s now, but there are really not many turn cards where we want to continue, so it's just better to fold now. Ooh, we would have made a set of 10s the nuts, but yeah. Can't see into the future, unfortunately. That's what I like on Stand James, that you always see the next card which would have come. Sometimes you bite your ass if you've been chasing a flush draw, make a correct fold, but still, it's kind of cool function, I think. Table number 2, I will just try to steal the big blind and see how Sastaps reacts, and he folds fairly quickly, so if he keeps on folding and not defending his big blind in position, I would just raise him every time, I think. King Queen 8-4. Actually, the only beautiful thing about our hand is the King Queen suited. The rest is kind of crappy, and Crazy Alley didn't raise so much, so it should be an easy fold in this case. If he limps again, like he's been doing it all the time, I would consider isolating him here again. 10-8-5-4. Kind of bad hand, suited to the 8, it's not connected, no high cards, no not possible besides some straights, so it should be an easy fold for us. So as you can see, I've been loosening up a bit now. I'm way looser on table number 2 since I've been isolating Crazy Alley a lot and I've been very active. But I think my normal stats are like 25, 22. Again, table number 1. I want to isolate him here so bad, but it's just too bad to continue. On table number 1, I play like 25, 14. Which just occurred because I had 2 fish on my direct left, and I just wanted to get involved with in a lot of pots with them, tried to entice them to enter the pot. Now I unfortunately didn't play my hand from the small blind. If 3 people would have already entered, I would have gotten a good price. Would have been nice because I would have insta-flopped the nut flush with gotcha to the straight flush. And seems like someone has a piece of the flop, or 2 people have a piece of the flop. Kind of unfortunate. Yeah, TVHDK. These were actually situations I've been waiting for all time, tried to enter with some ace high that I can play with the fish. I don't know why I didn't enter it now. But yeah, probably because not enough people entered the pot yet. Ace is in the big blind, it's single suited. I have two regulars who have position on me. We are a bit deeper. So I don't really, and now Crazy Alley also entered the pot, so I don't really want to squeeze here because they will instantly put me on aces, and once the flop comes 7, 6, 4, they will just try to move me off my hand. Probably they're correct to do so because they have a hand themselves, but once it gets checked around, I will take a stab. The board is it's connected, it's a lockdown board. I got Speed Fever, doesn't seem to have a mate straight yet, so a turn donk or a turn bet should be highly profitable here regardless of our hand. And we take it down, which is a very good result. So table number 1, I opened with 10, 8, 9. Again, same situation like on table number 2. The board is already a lockdown board. It's ace, queen, jack, nuts are already out. He will just probably continue with sets here in position, or ace, queen, but he won't fight here back very loose, and he just folds it.